Hello everyone, this is Gage from Gondor Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another Third Age Reforged online multiplayer battle replay. And this one is actually very special because it is a historical siege of Cair Andros. This siege happened in the Third Age right before the siege of Minas Tirith, which was on the 14th of March, if I'm not mistaken. So this was possibly just like a day or two, maybe a little bit more before the actual siege of Minas Tirith. And this battle was actually where like around 6,000 orcs besieged the rather small garrison defending the kind of fortress city of Cair Andros, which was actually placed on an island a little bit north of Osgiliath on the Great Anduin River. But as you can see, this is actually being besieged by a lot. Well, actually, you can't see, but I can tell you that this is not being besieged by a mere 6,000 orcs, but instead pretty close to around 9,000 or 10,000 orcs. And this actually is being defended by not as small a garrison as people would probably expect, but actually a very nice one. So it's kind of just like the historical battle, just like revamped with a lot more units and better troops. And I can tell you this one is full of some really cool stuff. These Athelian Rangers in particular just go absolutely ape on all of the forces here, or on all the attacking Mordor forces. But with any further ado, I will go ahead and go into the army compositions, beginning with, let's start with my allies. My ally is Lango, like myself, commanding an army of Gondor. He's got 2 units of the Gondor archers. He's also got 2 units of the Athelian Rangers around here somewhere. You can see him back there. He's also got 2 units of the normal Fountain Guard, and AP, kind of like, I think they're technically halberds, but they have the pike information, so they're basically AP pikes, so they are going to do very, very well in this battle. He's got 2 or 3 units of the Axemen of Lossarnoch, who only cost about 550 florins without any upgrades, but as you can obviously see, they do have both armor upgrades, which makes them have like 7 attack and 10 defense with full plate armor. He's also got a couple units, maybe just 1 unit of the Cair Andros Swordsmasters, who are very good. They've got like 12 attack, 21 defense, 10 skill, and they instill fear into their enemies. So you can see an unupgraded unit of Axemen of Lossarnoch there. The second unit of Fountain Guard is here. He's also got 1 unit of the Veterans of Osgiliath without any upgrades. So it looks like some of the garrison of Osgiliath was sent north to help out with the defense of Cair Andros. He's also got 1 unit of the Citadel Guard who have like 7 attack and mid to late 30s in terms of defense. They also are AP. Gondor actually does have most of their AP that Gondor has is in the form of spears, which is rather interesting and cool. Makes them a little bit unique. He's also got 2 units of the Guards of Osgiliath, which is the only other pike unit that Gondor has besides secondly the Fountain Guard. He's also got like 3 or 4 units of Gondor infantry, 2 with full upgrades, 2 without full upgrades. I think I already said that he has the 2 Gondor archers. And over here you can see his other 2 units of Gondor infantry, as well as the second unit of Cair Andros Swordmasters. And I'm pretty sure that just about does it for his army, except for the units back here that we each sent 1 unit over here to the boats just to make sure that they didn't have any units hidden on there. So I've got 1 unit on Pelgrim Marines here, and Lango does actually have his unit of Shielded Fountain Guard, who cost 1,100 florins, are an AP spear unit with multiple hit points. They are low in numbers, however, and they also actually can inspire the units around them up to 100 meters with a +5 bonus to morale. So any unit that is near these guys will definitely be incredibly hard to break, even for factions like Mordor that have a lot of fear-inspiring units. See the general standing right there. So when I go to my army, I have 1 unit of the Pelgrim Marines, who I just kind of left, or who I just was going to send with the Shielded Fountain Guard to the boats. They should do okay against most of the heavily armored units, and especially against things like trolls, or at least help out against them. I have my own unit of the Veterans of Osgiliath, these ones with both armor upgrades, and you can see Boromir standing proudly here with his men being the officer of this unit. I also have my general in that unit. I've got 1 unit of the Wardens of the White Tower, who have like 15 attack, 35 defense, and 2 hit points. So they are very, very good and very elite. However, they do cost 1,300 florins. So I'm gonna have to be very careful with these guys. However, in sieges, you don't have to be as careful with elites, because you can kind of just put them in choke points with 1 or 2 units to support them, and they will pretty much just rack up a bunch of kills on their own. However, these guys are not going to be very good at taking out enemy elites. These guys are more of a defensive-minded unit, so they're going to be better against medium and lower tier units. If you want to bring an elite unit to take out another elite unit, then you're going to have to bring something like the LSR's Honor Guard. Yeah, there's Lango's units. I've got 2 units of my own Cair Andros Swordmasters, so you can't have a siege of Cair Andros without at least some Cair Andros units. I've also got my own 2 units of Axemen of Lossarnoch, both with armor upgrades. I've got 3 units of Gondor infantry spread out around here, as well as 2 units of Gondor archers, and 2 units of my own Athelian Rangers right there. Also got 2 units of the Citadel Guard, an AP Spear unit, backed up by some infantry. Here's my second unit of Citadel Guard. And over here, you can see the rest of my army, which consists of 1 of the Ramsakor Garrison, which is just a light infantry, and just kind of there to support my lines wherever it is needed. And I also have in front of them 2 units of the Fountain Guard, just the AP Spear unit. And here you can see my second unit of Gondor Archers, who I just placed here to put some stakes down, and I will retreat them very shortly. So that pretty much does it for the defenders, so I'll now go over to the attackers, beginning with the army way over here. It is being commanded by War Murrow. Unfortunately, he actually hit deployment before he had deployed at all, so he is deployed kind of far away, but it actually ends up being fine because most of the time you can see that these 2 attackers that are near Cair Andros will wait for their allies to get there, because it is of course not very smart to attack just one at a time. So he's got some Morannon halberds consisting of which is going to be his front line. Nice AP halberd unit. He's got a lot of orc fodder. He's got like 3 units of orc fodder around here. Some more Morannon halberds. All of the AP is going to be very, very good against the heavily armored units that Lengo and I have brought. He's got some Siren's Will, which are a mace shock infantry unit, again AP, so that is again going to be very effective against the Gondor forces. He's got some standard Morannon infantry here manning the siege towers. He's got like 3 or 4 units of them without armor upgrades, and I think that pretty much just about does it for his army, except for maybe some units back here, which I think, yeah, some Orc Maulers, a cheap AP shock infantry unit, some more Orc Maulers, and then over here, another unit of Siren's Will, as well as 1 unit of the Temple Guard, which I believe is where his general is. So this is, as has been stated many times, one of the 3 remaining AP bow units in the game, and they are not bad in melee either. Also, something else to note, their officers look absolutely amazing. I love the officer for that unit. I think that officer is only for a couple of mortar units, the Temple Guard, the dismounted Temple Inquisitors, and just kind of similar things like that. Over here, close to him, you can see that we have got Red Fox commanding again another mortar army. And again, it's going to be very similar. 3 units of Orc Fodder. Actually, he's got some Morannon heavy Maulers as well. Another AP shock infantry unit. So, obviously, Mordor is going to bring a lot of AP because Gondor does rely a lot on their armor and defense values. More Morannon halberds, more Morannon heavy Maulers. And then a ton of Morannon infantry here right behind all these towers. As well as a unit of Siren's Will. And he also does have the Ballista. Now, the only rule for this battle was that the defenders could bring no artillery, and the attackers could only bring 1 ballista. But again, being the Orc Ballista, it is going to do a huge amount of damage if it is allowed to fire. Back here you can see his full contingent of Orc Fodder, as well as his 1 ram. Okay, we'll now go over to the 2 remaining Mordor armies, which are over here. So right here we've got the first, which is being commanded by Owinel. He's got 2 units of Orc Archers. Just a low-tier archer unit. Should not do... They're not going to do great, however, they will be able to at least make me and Lengo waste our arrows on them rather than on something like the Orc Maulers, which are right behind them. Again, it's just a cheap shock infantry unit. Some more Orc Fodder, some Morannon heavy Maulers, more Morannon heavy Maulers. So again, a lot of these armies are going to be very similar. He's actually got some Morannon archers here, so a little bit of a higher tier archer unit, and another unit of Orc Archers. And over here he's got some more elite stuff like the Olag High, 1 unit of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr, and 1 unit of the Dismounted Temple Inquisitors, as well as some Orc Fodder. The Dismounted Temple Inquisitor is where his general is. Also, something to note about these guys, they are somewhat pricey, but I think it might have been a better idea for them to bring a couple more of these guys, because they are incredibly good in sieges. Both, I assume, in the defense. I haven't really played Mordor in a defensive kind of role yet in a siege, but they are definitely good at attacking because they can actually do shield wall and push through in very similar ways to the Blackwatch Legion of Moria. But we can also they also inspire fear. So that is also always going to be very good. Over here we have the last army of Mora that is being commanded by the Fat Flavamore. He's got some Orc Archers. Again, that's going to be very similar. His army is just going to be very similar. He's got some Orc Fodder, some Morannon infantry, actually a lot of Morannon infantry as well, some Morannon halberds it looks like, and just again a pretty similar army. I think he might also have some maybe elite units back here. Yeah, he's got some Morannon heavy maulers, some Uruk halberds, as well as some actually mountain trolls. So they should do quite well in a support role. They're going to do a very good job at breaking through our lines. He's also got some Morannon archers there. So they actually have a lot of archers, which is again not a bad idea, because I think between myself and Lengo we had like 10 archers or something like that. Anyway, so without any further ado, we will go ahead and start the battle off. However, like most Cair Andros sieges, it is not going to start really in full until the attacker's allies get here. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop the recording here, and I will see you guys back in a few moments. Okay, so I am back now. It is actually not, the battle's not started yet. This is just going to be another slow point, but something that I did want to mention is this right here. You can see that there are 2 towers on this bridge here being pushed forward by some Morannon heavy maulers, as well as 2 towers being held by some Morannon infantry in the river. Now this was actually a very interesting play by the attackers. They do this on both sides. They push up a tower or 2 on the bridge. Now this is not a bad idea. Well, this is an interesting, well, not really a bad idea, but an interesting idea for several reasons. One of these, and the most obvious, is the fact that we will not be able to fire at anything they push forward on this bridge from our own defensive position. So it is a very smart move from that point of view, but also it does work both ways. It means that they're not going to be able to push any archers on this bridge either to be able to fire down into our defending ranks as well. There is also the fact that once they do decide to drop the towers and push around, they're only going to be able to push around these 2 narrow sides that the siege tower does leave, in fact, open. So that is going to actually be better for our infantry, because instead of having to deal with the whole unit on the bridge, they're only going to have to deal with like 20 or so men at a time, which is going to definitely be good for us. But again, the main reason I assume why they did decide to push up towers is the fact that once they do get their tower around here, or even down here a ways, our archers will not be able to fire at them, which is going to be very unfortunate, because obviously if they had not pushed up any towers, all the units that were right here being held back by the Citadel Guard would be totally open to all kinds of archer fire from every angle. So again, it's going to be a very interesting tactic, and we'll have to see if it works out for them. But again, like I said before, it does in fact happen on both sides, and but it's not going to happen for at least a little while longer, because like I said, the attackers do wait for their allies to get here. Looks like Muro is getting close to being in position, but for now I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, so we are back now. The attackers are pretty much in position. You can see that on my side, one of the towers is being brought up. I actually have pushed forward one of my units of normal Gondor archers up here to try to get a volley off on some of the units, just to do a little bit of damage as much as I can. Especially, you can see I'm going to be targeting these orc maulers, who are very lightly armored, and being shock infantry without shields are going to take pretty heavy losses from this, especially because they actually are not in loose formation. But to stop this, Muro is starting to send forward some orc fodder, which is going to force me to either retreat my archers or push forward some infantry to stop the tower from being pushed forward. Also, something to mention is the fact that there were no units in fact on the boats. So my Pelgrim Marines and Lengo's Shield Found Guard are in fact making their way over to the main defense. Also, another thing I should probably in fact mention is the fact that me and Lengo had been trying to do this exact siege probably like 6 times in a row almost. And I think these 4 Mordor players were like the 3rd or 4th group of Mordor players that we had actually tried to do this with. Because every time it actually in fact crashed. And also, one of the players that was actually in this battle told us that every time he tried to do a siege on Cair Andros, the game would crash whenever they got to the main like walls back there. So that is why, in fact, we are going to be making our entire defense set up out here in the main city, not just in this area, but also some ways back here as well. So that is why we are going to be defending this front area, this kind of outer city with our lives. You can see that I'm actually going to be retreating my Gondor archers back and sending forward my Citadel Guard. Now, my reasoning behind this was the fact that if I could stop the tower from being pushed forward any further, I would be able to use the tower against them, and that would mean that they would, like I said before, only be able to push forward a few men at a time through these sides, which means I'd be able to hold this bridge for a very long time, and that would also mean that I'd be able to put something like my Athelian Rangers behind my spearmen and fire just like crazy into any of the units that are crossing this river right here to attack my front line right there. Also, I wanted to stop the siege tower before it got past these 2 towers, because these 2 towers, as well as the siege tower, would be able to do a very job of protecting me from the orc ballista, which you can see is somewhere around here. It's getting kind of close, because you can see that Red Fox, who has the ballista, is over here now. Yeah, there's, oh no, I thought it was the ballista, which is the ram. Oh, here's the ballista. You can see it being pushed invisibly. There you can see one of them. But yes, over here now we will see the first engagement of the infantry fight very shortly. Well, actually no, because I didn't want to have the same thing happen to me, because like I said, this thing is always going to be double-sided. I didn't want to push my own infantry forward, because then I would just suffer the same fate that I want Mordor to suffer. that being I could only push a few men around the sides at a time instead of my whole unit. So these Citadel Guard are going to be able to hold here for a very long time. That is in fact what they are pretty much made for, is holding the line, and especially against something low tier like the Orc Fodder, they will be able to do they'll be able to just pretty much mow through the Orc Fodder, especially if the Orc Fodder are only allowed to advance a few men at a time. But over here, you can see that the huge first wave of the attackers on this side is marching forward, as well as right here you can see the Rams have been brought forward, or Rams, I always want to call them Rams, but they're towers, has been brought forward to give some protection to the Mordor attackers. However, the Fountain Guard and Citadel Guard are going to be more than enough to hold the line against these Morannon heavy maulers, who are only going to be able to advance a few men at a time. You can see it's really going to be very difficult for Mordor to advance to this bridge because of their own doing. But you can see the huge first wave of Mordor beginning to march forward. It looks like most of it is from the Fat Flavamore, with Lionel close behind. But again, as the first wave, it's mostly just going to be Orc Fodder as well as some Orc Archers, just to try to skirmish down our front line a little bit. And the Orc Fodder really just there to kind of give a little bit of support. I am sorry about the lag. It's going to be at least somewhat laggy in the beginning of the battle, at least until a large portion of the forces have been defeated or killed. You can see my Rangers are now up in their position. I was actually very happy because they actually were able to hide here, which means that the archers of Murrow and Red Fox would not be able to skirmish them down until I wanted to actually fire at their own units. Over here, though, you can see that my Citadel Guard are being attacked by the Orc Fodder, who are being backed up by some Morannon Halberds. Morannon Halberds are actually not in the fight yet. They're just kind of sitting back there, waiting for my Citadel Guard to beat the Orc Fodder. But again, my Citadel Guard will be more than enough to deal with these Orc Fodder. I've only actually lost 2 men, and they've lost like 25-ish. Ooh, yeah, that's actually something else I forgot. One of the Mordor players actually did have a unit of the Numenorean Shadow Guard, who, like the Ithilien Rangers, are body piercing. So if they get into a good position, they're going to be also able to do a huge amount of damage to the defending forces. Ooh, over here though, you can see that I don't know if the infantry. I don't know if the infantry is actually going to stop or actually begin the assault right here. Might be a little bit wiser to try to skirmish down at least a few of the pikemen. I mean, being backed up by the infantry here, the pikemen aren't going to take too many losses, especially against something low tier like the Orc Archers, but every little does count. And you can, in fact, see that the arrows are flying both sides. Looks like the Gondor Archers of Lengo are firing. And I think I've got, yeah, some more Gondor Archers. Lengo's more Gondor Archers are there as well. My Ithilien Rangers are back there in addition to that. Oh, I thought for a second the infantry was going to fight, but no, they're just kind of standing there so far. But this, right here, this huge blob, is exactly what any body-piercing ranger absolutely dreams of. So very shortly, you will see both myself and Lengo targeting this massive blob of lightly armored troops, and because of the fact that they're so blobbed up, is going to do an insane amount of damage with the body-piercing of the Rangers. You can see I've actually turned around my Ithilien Rangers, and they're going to very shortly fire their very deadly volleys straight into that huge blob of Mordor infantry. Unfortunately, some of them are kind of arcing their shots, but nevertheless, it will still do a lot of damage. You can see quite a few of these Orc Fodder going down already. Not a bad idea, actually, to just leave the Orc Fodder here, because the Orc Fodder are not going to win a fight against these Gondor forces, but they will at least prevent the Gondorians from sallying out to silence these Orc Archers. Yes, the arrows are just flying every which way from both sides. The standard Gondor Archers are firing. They're not going to do as much damage as something like the Ithilien Rangers, but they still will do okay. I'm trying to reposition my Ithilien Rangers to get into a better area so they don't have to fire into the air really to do anything like that. Citadel Guard still holding here against the Orc Fodder. However, the Morannon Halberds are now marching into the fight, so I will probably have to shortly advance some more units. I actually have my second unit of Ithilien Rangers right here, and I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for these Orc Fodder of Red Fox to march into position, because the towers will not protect their flanks, so the body piercing will again do a huge amount of damage. Okay, over here, the infantry fight has begun. The Orc Fodder is fighting against the infantry and the guards of Osgiliath. The orc fodder is going to be really no match for the Gondorian infantry here. And the archers of Gondor are still firing as well, just constantly firing, as well as my Athelian Rangers, who are just at the moment racking up the kills. You can see those like lines of blood. That is the fault of the Athelian Rangers with their body-piercing arrows. That it's almost, I guess, kind of like body-piercing is almost like splash damage, but not really. It's kind of like one arrow can just go through as many people. I assume can go through as many people as it can until it hits the ground. So it can obviously do a huge amount of damage to the blobs, which, as you can see, is why so many of the orcs are already falling. So far, Gondor is being able to hold this defense quite well. But again, that is unsurprising because most of this first wave is pretty low tier, with the exception perhaps of the Morannon halberds. Over here, I had to retreat my Fountain Guard and most of my other units because of the advance of the Ballista. Ooh, and over here, my Rangers are about to fire their first volley into this huge blob right here of orc fodder, and you can see it's going to do a very large amount of damage. You can see a ton of those orc fodder just dropping. And again, I know that this is not maybe the best target because it is just, in fact, orc fodder, but just because of the fact on how many more troops that Mordor did, in fact, bring to the field than us, I was just going to try to do as much damage as possible to every unit I could, especially when they are blobbed up like this, because you can see the orc fodder just having a horrible time of it. You can see their bodies just piling up here in the river right there. However, Murrow was just waiting for this opportunity because you can see his Numenor and Shadow Guard are about to be in range, as well as the orc archers, who are going to do very well against my Athelian Rangers if I'm not careful. You can see actually some of my Athelian Rangers standing on the outside of this, just hovering in the air. But again, that does not stop them from firing their arrows into this horde of orc fodder. One that's now down to 72, the other one's at like 152. Over here, I actually did oh wait, no. Did I? I don't think it was quite that maybe. Yeah, Citadel Guard still holding strong, doing a good job. And something else to mention is that I love this map. This map is absolutely amazing. It's really, really fun to play on. Oh my, all the arrows that killed all those orcs there. But anyway, something that I was trying to say was that this map is incredibly fun on. It is accessible to everyone who has the Reforged game, and I would highly recommend you to play it whenever you can, because it is insanely fun to play on, especially on big battles like a 2v4 as this is, or a 3v5 or something like that. The old Cair Andros really has nothing at all on this one. It is just so amazing. WK did a really excellent job, and it's also very cool because you can in fact deploy units on the boats back there. Ooh, over here you can see my Athelian Rangers now kind of suffering the same fate as the orcs that they've been firing at, that being the body-piercing arrows of the Numenor and Shadow Guard, which is just doing an insane amount of damage to the Athelian Rangers. Rangers are, of course, very deadly, and quite expensive as well, but they are, of course, very fragile as well. Definitely a unit that you have to be super careful with. You can actually see that I'm going to send forward right away my unit of the Wardens of the White Tower, just to shore up the line here against these orc fodder and things like that, because I also see behind them that there are some better units like these Sauron's will. And this is I'm actually quite fine with this. The Citadel Guard are kind of starting to drop a little bit more than I would want against some of these lower tier stuff, but the Wardens White Tower will be able to do very well here. Also, because of the fact that they're on a very narrow bridge, they're not going to have to be supported nearly as much as they would have to be supported elsewhere on the battlefield. But all across the line, you can see more orcs pouring forward. And looks like over here the other bridge fight is going pretty well for the defenders, I should say. The Fountain Guard and Citadel Guard still holding really strong right there. And over here, though, oh, the orcs are just having a horrible time of it because of the constant body-piercing arrows. However, some of these units of Gondor infantry are starting to drop pretty heavily. This unit is now down to only 76. Originally, it was at 163. The other unit of Gondor infantry is at 149, so still pretty healthy. And the Guards of Osgiliath are down to 128 from 163. I did stop firing my Athelian Rangers arrows, though, because we did decide to just kind of wait a while. But over here, you can see that the fight has also begun on my side. Again, I did have to retreat my front line because of the advance of that Ballista. So my front line is instead going to be right here. My Fountain Guard being backed up by some Rimscore Garrison infantry. And the Orc fodder of Red Fox actually did a nice move right here, trying to outflank my Fountain Guard on my front line. So I did have to actually commit a unit of Gondor infantry against him. You can see that the first line of Mordor's against my front line is just getting absolutely butchered, but then again, that's just because it is Orc fodder. But behind them, there is some more sturdy stuff like some Morannon infantry. Actually, a pretty good amount of Morannon infantry, but also something to note about the actual map itself. Now, I don't think you can actually run through this pathway right here, but you can go from this bridge straight across here to my Gondor infantry, which is why I do have them placed here to protect my units from the bridge, because if they're able to break through here, then all my units on the bridge would be able to just get totally surrounded, and it would mean I would not be able to continuously fire arrows from the bridge. You can see I'm now doing with some Gondor archers. Try and target those Numenor and Shadow Guard, but my Gondor archers are not super great, so they're not going to be able to do that very effectively. However, my Fountain Guard are going to hold here for a very, very long time, so they should do quite well. But over here, while we were able to do a good deal of damage, you can see that Lengo's line is definitely starting to thin. So it's not looking super great here. However, he does have a lot of units in reserve. You can actually see he's going to send over a unit of Axemen of Lossarnach right now. And over here, you can see that he's actually pulling back his Citadel Guard. He realizes that his Fountain Guard will be able to hold here for pretty much ever, just because of the fact that the Mordor players can only advance a little ways. However, a good push right here from the Morannon Heavy Maulers is forcing him to recommit his Citadel Bodyguard here. But the Morannon Heavy Maulers might actually rout. They're actually wavering. One of them is actually one is actually shaken. Ooh, you can see that Lengo's definitely been targeting the Orc archers up here with his Ithilien Rangers, just doing a horrendous amount of damage to them. And over here, I did actually have to pull off my Ithilien Rangers from there because they lost like pretty much 2/3 of the unit, and I did not want to lose them completely because they still had a lot of ammo. Over here, though, I'm pushing a little too far for my liking against the Sauron's will because, like I said, I'm going to suffer the same fate as the Mordor player, and I'm going to only be advancing a little bit, a few units at a time. But still, the 67 Citadel Guard, along with the 59 Warden's White Tower, will do very well here. Ooh, we can see a pretty big push being brought forward now by Red Fox and Murrow. You can see that Murrow is actually committing his Mountain Trolls. And after the fight, he's going to rush them straight, I assume, for the front line, but he could also be going for my Gondor infantry that is defending this portion of the bridge. Gondor infantry and the Mordor infantry would be a close fight. However, with both armor upgrades, I would be pretty confident in saying that the Gondor infantry would be able to win this fight here. Well, you can see, yeah, the Mordor infantry of Red Fox trying to go. Looks like they're trying to go around here, trying to silence my Gondor archers, but they're unfortunately not going to get there in time to do so. I am completely out of ammo for this unit of Ithilien Rangers, but they have definitely paid for themselves. They have just done a horrendous amount of damage to the Mordor players right here. You can see the bodies just piled up in the river right here. But Mordor, as always, has a ton of numbers, so they are going to still continue to be able to push forward. Actually, Lengo has been forced to commit his Shielded Fountain Guard here, as well as some Axemen of Lossarnach, because most of his guards, well, a lot of his guards of his guild have fallen, and most of his Gondor infantry has fallen there as well. You can also see that the Orc Javelins of the Fat Flavamore are very nicely positioned here, and really not getting targeted because I don't think I even noticed that they were there, mostly just because of the fact that they are pretty much have the same unit model as the Orc fodder, with slight variations, but still. Over here, I have handily beaten the first wave against my front line. However, I was not paying attention, and these Numenor and Shadow Guard with body piercing are going to be firing straight into Lengo's Gondor infantry, my Rammus Core Garrison infantry, as well as my Fountain Guard, which is not going to be good because obviously these guys are super blobbed up. So the body piercing arrows, oh my, body piercing is so very good. So I'm going to try to rush these guys out there, not really to do any damage to them, but just try to get him to commit some more infantry to my front line, because as soon as he does commit infantry to my front line, it means he's not going to be able to fire up my front line with the body piercing anymore. So I'm going to commit these guys over here just to try to force him to recommit against my own front line, because that is a fight that I am very comfortable with. Over here, I did commit my second unit of Citadel Bodyguard here to deal with the rest of these Morannon infantry. And over here, yeah, my Warden's White Tower and Citadel Guard are kind of just pushing a little too far forward for my liking, but unfortunately I was kind of focused elsewhere, so I was not able to notice this in time. However, they are just butchering the Sauron's Will as well as the Orc Maulers there. So, like I said, they're going to hold there for a very, very long time. Mountain Trolls just kind of sitting here, but there's some more Morannon infantry being brought forward now. That unit of Morannon infantry was completely wiped away, but again, Numenor and Shadowguard, really smart play here by Muro to fire his Numenor and Shadowguard into my front line, and I didn't really have the Archer force to deal with it, because my Athelian Rangers are much too fragile to do that, and also one of my units was completely out of ammo. And my Gondor Archers were absorbed elsewhere. He's actually targeting my Pelargir Marines now. And also you could actually just see there that Lango's general has actually fallen, which is rather unfortunate. But again, it was due to the fact that he did have to commit his general right away. But, ooh, you can see right here that Mordor was actually able to push a ram, or siege tower, all the way through our front line here. But they were unfortunately not able to hold on to the foothold they had gained. So we are going to be able to reinforce line with some Cair Andros Swordmasters, some Axemen of Lossarnoch, and units like that. Orc Javelin's actually going to charge hard against these shield front guard. I was actually going to commit this second unit of my first unit, I should say, of Cair Andros Swordmasters over here, but I did in fact see that Lango had this pretty much under control, so I do commit them for a second and then I pull them out. But unfortunately, again, I was not paying attention, so they actually are going to get pretty much javelined or shot to death. So again, a very big mistake by me right there. Found Guard holding incredibly strong right there on the bridge. But yeah, we still have quite a few units in reserve as well. But again, Mordor still has a lot of units here also. You can see just a ton of units still pouring all the way across this river. Unfortunately, my Gondor infantry are facing the wrong way here. So the stragglers are just getting beat to death by the mountain trolls. So we are winning the percentage battle quite heavily right now. Orc archers are being brought forward. The Numenor and Shadowguard still have ammo and are still just being very annoying to my front line. See my infantry right here, fighting hard against some more infantry who's actually wavering. I've also still got my Fountain Guard here who are still really healthy. This unit not so much because it's been getting shot to death by the Numenor and Shadowguard, but still. Also got another unit of Gondor infantry backing them up. Ooh, right here you can see that we're getting very thin on the grounds, and it's a good thing that all these units are breaking right here, because if they had not broken, I think Mordor probably would have been able to push through. You can see these guards of Osgiliath right here are getting quite thin. Elsewhere, though, we are still holding pretty strong. The Citadel Guard that had been helping the Fountain Guard on the bridge have been committed over here. But oh, you can see that Mordor has noticed this pretty big weak point right here in the line. So it looked like he was going to charge his... I don't know what that... Looks like he was going to charge his Morannon archers there, but they just routed in the face of the Citadel Guard. However, or in the face of the guards of Osgiliath. However, he does have some trolls here, so if he's smart, he's definitely going to want to try to push them straight through the remaining infantry and guards of Osgiliath, which you can see he is doing, which is going to force Lango to commit his swordmasters over there to try to stop the advance of those trolls. But you can see it's not looking super great for us over here, except for in this point where the combined force of the Shielded Fountain Guard and Citadel Guard will be able to do a great deal of damage. Orc Javelins firing straight into this blob of Gondorians. The Cair Andros Swordmaster is really not going to be a great unit to commit against the trolls. You can see they're falling very quickly. You can see they're actually shaken. There's my unit of Cair Andros Swordmasters that I wasn't paying attention to, and they got shot to death. More fighting over here. Unfortunately, I didn't have my unit of infantry on guard mode. Over here, I kind of overcommitted. Actually, I really overcommitted right here. But because one unit of my Gondor archers is out of ammo, the other unit I'm just using right here to fire into the flanks of these troops right here. Mainly, I just really didn't want those trolls to get any further than they had, so this is why I have committed my Axemen of Lossarnoch here. The AP of the Axemen, as well as the Citadel Guard, should do quite well against the trolls. But yeah, the Mordor players are just getting shot to pieces right now. Over here, my unit of Rangers that is now out of ammo, I have committed over here with my Citadel Guard, who are actually shaken. As well as my 48 Wardens of the White Tower. But again, I should be pushing them back, because if I do, then I'll be able to hold for a lot longer. However, I didn't want to pull them back right away, mostly just because of the fact that if I do pull them back, then they're going to take losses from that. You can see another huge line of Mordor forces being brought forward. I've still got, yeah, there's 44 Athelian Rangers that have ammo left, but that's the only Ranger unit I have. That's the only Ranger unit that actually has ammo left. I am running out of ammo for my Gondor archers as well. One unit is already out of it. One unit of Gondor archers is actually already out of ammo, but the other still does have quite a bit left. So far, it's been a very bloody, bloody fight. The Rangers have been incredibly, incredibly important for both sides, I think. But ooh, over here, again this kind of left flank, or kind of top flank, you could say, but the left flank is really, really starting to struggle for Lengo over here. He's going to have to commit some more units here if he wants to hold it. He's going to commit some Gondor archers over here, and I think I'm going to be committing some units over here as well. Yeah, you can see I'm pulling over some of my Cair Andros swordmasters to help out on that side. But also over here, my front line is kind of engaged in melee, at least on the one side, but not really on the whole side. See, the Found Guard has been butchering everything that's been brought forward so far. And over here, even though I did kind of overcommit, you can see I have lost quite a number of troops. My Axemen of Loss are knocked down to 166 now, Citadel Guard down to 58. Gondor Archers still doing okay, and Infantry is there as well. I'm trying to sneak past with my Athelian Rangers back onto this bridge, because if I sneak them over here, they're going to be able to just shoot these Morannon infantry and Morannon heavy maulers to pieces, just very, very quickly at that. Temple Guard actually being brought over pretty soon here as well. My second unit of Gondor archers are brought over here to help out on the bridge, because at this point I'm just going to try to push through the siege tower. There's really no point in sitting behind it anymore, because I have pretty much got this in control. However, there is another unit of Sauron's Will, as well as a unit of Morannon infantry back there, so you have to be careful. The ballista, though, has been very, very quiet, and I think this is kind of a mistake by the attackers here, to just the fact that they're not bringing it forward, because if they brought it forward even to like halfway through the water here, they'd be able to just pound my defense right here. Anything I put right here would be absolutely just shot to death instantly by the ballista. So I do think this is kind of a mistake, but again, maybe the ballista was kind of bugging out for them, I do not know. Athelian Rangers firing into this huge blob of maulers, going to get a lot of kills from that. Over here, we've somewhat regained control of this right flank, mostly just due to the fact that the Mordor players have lost troops here, so we're just kind of able to wrap around the. We're just kind of being able to outflank the flankers. Right here, again, I was making so many mistakes. These Gondor infantry of mine were not in guard mode again, so they were just running around chasing after these routing maulers, which was definitely a mistake by me. But over here, you can see a lot of troops here from Lionel actually still sitting here. He's actually sending forward his Black Legion of Barad-dûr. Now this is a unit that is going to be very important to their attack, and it's a unit that I think they should have brought a lot more up, to be honest. But he is finally going to be bringing them over here to the bridge, where you can see that Mordor had made headway, but the bodies have just piled up. You can see that the Found Guard are actually now down to 42 here, so Lengo did have to commit some archers as well, some axemen here. Olag High actually are over here as well. And dismounted Temple Inquisitors there, so that's a lot of elite units right here. If they're able to break through this bridge, then that means they're going to be able to outflank all of our units out here. I've also got my own Veterans of Osgiliath that rancher somewhere. They still have full aim, I'm pretty sure. Ooh, okay, yeah. First I thought that was orcs, but no, it was just my Rangers. Who being back in position on the bridge are going to be able to fire straight into the flanks of these Morannon heavy maulers, halberds, and stuff like that. There goes one of the Mordor generals, falling among his many, many troops. Over here, though, you can see more towers being brought forward. Seems like this is a really popular tower. Ooh, and he just played me right here. This is this is a very smart move right here. He had his Numenor and Shadowguard right there, so I wanted to charge them just to try to stop them from firing into my front line. But in doing so, I allowed these Morannon heavy halberds and heavy maulers to outflank my Fountain Guard, and at the same time, he's actually going to be bringing forward a siege tower as well to just push through my Fountain Guard. So pretty much in just a matter of seconds, my defense is really not looking that good for me. However, the Morannon heavy maulers are actually wavering, and the Gondor infantry of Lengo is actually able to support my Fountain Guard and kind of stop that flank. But already you can see the towers just pushing straight through my Found Guard, so that's not going to be very good for me at all, especially because you can see that he still does have a lot of forces right here. Elsewhere, you can see my healthy Veterans of Osgiliath looking very spiffy with their 2 armor upgrades and the nice kind of Arnorian shield armor getting ready. But over here, we've basically won on Lango's Beach. Lango was able to quite easily beat his enemy there. Well, not easily, but he was able to beat him. There's my infantry just running after routing troops again. But over here, again, a little bit of hesitation, it seems, on the part of the Mordor players. Definitely, they're not really sure what. It seems like they're not really sure what they want to do yet. Here we can see now the Black Legion of Barad-dûr are marching forward, as well as the dismounted Temple Inquisitors, and you can see still there's a large portion of Mordor forces right out there on the beach. Looks like they're going to come around on this bridge. So it looks like they're going to be focusing a lot of their forces on that bridge there. At this point, however, I'm pretty sure that all of the Rangers of Lango and myself are out of ammo, with the exception of these 38. Ooh, but over here you can see that I was actually defeated right over here on the tower. My Warden's White Tower and Citadel Guard were able to hold for quite some time. However, they're now being slowly but surely cut down. You can see that my Warden's White Tower now down to 13, just because of the fact that they've been fighting against so many units for so very long, especially the Sauron's Will, who are AP. Really just were able to whittle down my Warden's White Tower one by one. However, even 13 will still be able to hold, well, 12 should be able to hold here for at least a short amount of time. You can see they're actually being backed by some Gondor archers of mine. So I'm trying to hold on to this bridge. So it's starting to look, again, pretty like it's getting a little bit closer. You can see my defense on the bridge is looking very thin, and there's a ton of units being brought over to Lango's bridge. So I'm actually going to have to commit some Lost-Knock Axemen on the bridge here. And elsewhere, I had to commit... No, Lango actually helped me out here. Lango was a real good ally. He's actually helping me out here with some Axemen Lost-Knock to kind of prevent these siege towers from going any further. My Fountain Guard are still holding strong as well. And over here, like I said, we were able to completely defeat this whole advance on this bridge. See, actually, one unit of Orc Maulers here, but I think that was a micro mistake. I think they were planning to send them over this way, so they will turn them around pretty shortly. Again, I think it was also maybe a little bit of a mistake not attacking that way right there, but I think they might have tried, but it was unfortunate, but it was unsuccessful. But over here, see, this is why you bring the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. You can see them just flinging units into the air with their shield wall push. They're being backed up by some dismounted Temple Inquisitors. So this is really, really not good for us right here. You can see we're trying to commit some things here to slow it down, but a shield wall push by something like the Black Legion of Barad-dûr is always going to be very, very difficult to stop, maybe even well nigh impossible. You can see the Fountain Guard, even the Fountain Guard getting pushed right out of formation by the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. You can actually see, oh, I thought for a second there was a little bit of shaking. Yeah, the archers are actually shaking here. So yes, this is what Mordor needed to be doing throughout the whole battle. They should have brought, even if they had a few less Morannon infantry, they probably should have brought, they probably should have each at least brought one unit of Black Legion of Barad-dûr, because you can see how effective they are at sieges. Even pushing through this small little choke point, they were able to just completely separate all these defending units, and we're really being hard pressed right there to defend that bridge. You can see the gap is just getting ever wider. You can see I've actually got my Veterans Guilds over here to try to fire into those that huge blob of troops there, but again, it's not going to do a huge amount of damage because the Black Legion are very well armored, and the Temple Inquisitors have hit points, so they're going to be able to weather those arrows very well. Over here you can see, it looks like we're not holding on very strong because of the towers, but I do actually still have my 67 Fountain Guard there. There's also some Axemen there, and I have my other unit Fountain Guard here as well. So far, we're still holding on pretty well here, pretty reasonably well. Sauron's Will here, chanting, giving their support to their allies. Temple Guard, though, right here, I did not see them, so they're going to be able to fire straight into my Citadel Guard. We're not going to be very good at weathering that arrow storm because they are, in fact, those arrows are in fact AP. But again, another siege tower push right here on my bridge is really proving to be hard for me to deal with. I've only got 2 Wardens left. So that unit's pretty much left, or that unit's pretty much done for. It did its job though. It got a lot of kills, I think. Gondor infantry. I'm having to commit just all kinds of things here, but again, it's looking very bad for me here because I really don't have the quality that I need to deal with these Mordor infantry, because the Mordor infantry will be able to just outlast me in terms of numbers. All of these units here on the bridge, especially because of the fact that the Temple Guard are here, and they're just peppering all my forces either in the back, and they're also actually, in fact, firing straight in my Citadel Guard, who while they are very heavily armored and have nice shields, they're not going to be able to deal with 8 arrows. I'm actually going to have to commit I was for a second going to commit my Axemen Lost-Knock over on the bridge, but instead I actually am going to have to commit them over here because you can see that Mordor is doing an excellent job of pushing through here with the Black Legion. Unfortunately, the Black Legion is like more than halfway dead in terms of numbers, but they definitely paid for themselves just because of the fact on how well they were able to push. You can see a lot more of the Mordor forces going now over the bridge. The dismounted Temple Inquisitors are here as well. Fountain Guard now down to 7, but again, really unfortunate that Mordor did not bring any more Black Legion, because you can see how just epic they are at pushing. You can see Lango is setting up another defense, this time of just standard pikes instead of Fountain Guard. But again, with the trolls, yeah, oh yeah, the trolls are just gonna be able to walk straight through. But you can see I'm actually throwing my javelins to this blob of troops here. But I don't think there's enough of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr to push through these pikes. But if the Ologhai come over here, I think they definitely will be able to block this up. But again, that's just really unfortunate they did not bring more Black Legion. Ithilien Rangers of Lango, I actually was mistaken. I thought he was all out of ammo, but no, he still does have ammo left. And we can now pretty much leave this whole beach pretty much open because they're not going to send any more this way. But just look at the bodies. A lot of them were killed by arrows, but there was also a lot killed by infantry. But all the bodies in the river who just got shot to death. Over here, I am starting to pretty much win this battle. My Fountain Guard have held strong pretty much the entire battle. There's also some Gondor infantry actually pushing forward, taking out the last of these units. But there are still 2 pretty healthy units of Sauron's Will there. So that's going to be rather difficult to deal with. Over here, though, the Temple Guard, unsupported, have now been attacked by my healthy unit of Axemen of Lossarnock. Ooh, but the Ballista finally getting into the battle. I definitely think it should have been pushed up earlier because it's really not going to be good if he fires into this blob of my Axemen. It's going to completely destroy that entire unit. Also over here, though, you can see that I have, in fact, pretty much lost this battle on the bridge. So all across the board, it definitely is beginning to get a lot closer for Mordor. See, I'm going to have to commit. I still have 1 unit of Cair Andros Swordmasters that was defending that bridge over there, which is going to mean that this area is going to be left completely undefended. However, I did have to do what I had to do. So I'm going to commit these guys on the bridge here. Ooh, the Ballista narrowly missing. There's actually also the Minas Morgul Chosen here. A very nice spear unit, capped at 2, I believe. And again, like a lot of other spear units, they do have shield wall, which means they can do very good at pushing. Sauron's Will actually now going to be committed against my Fountain Guard, but again, Fountain Guard being AP pikes, well, technically halberds, are going to be able to deal with this quite easily, especially because the supporting units, the units that had been supporting the Sauron's Will have just been completely defeated. So, while it may take some time, my Fountain Guard will be able to win that fight. Still got some scattered remains of units, but over here, again, Mordor is just really having a tough time because they just don't have the numbers anymore to try to push through this line. You can see I think there are some Ologhai just like running, yeah, the Ologhai running around to this city, not going to outflank our units. At first I thought they were going to go onto the bridge to fight my Cair Andros Swordmasters, but instead I think they do in fact go after my Veterans of the Smith, which is my General's units. Yes, it's looking pretty dang close. The Mortal player actually still does have a decent amount of archers over here. Orc Maulers, and there's still a completely healthy unit of Orc Maulers on the bridge, just kind of running around, unfortunately. Yeah, we still have 2 units of Veterans of Osgiliath. Lango has got some Ithilien Rangers, and he's helping me out right here by firing onto these troops here. But unfortunately, most of the arrows are hitting this tower. But again, my Cair Andros Swordmasters will do quite well against things like the Sauron's Will and the Morannon infantry, because being shock infantry, you know, this is what they excel at. They're going to be very good at that, especially against the low skill units like the mace shock infantry. But oh, over here you can see my Axemen of Lossarnock, who are barely holding on as it is, now going to get rear charged by the Ologhai, which is going to instantly break them. So they were pretty much completely taken out by the Temple Guard and the Minas Morgul Chosen, which is going to open up this entire section of our defense for the attackers to run around in, which means they have a couple decisions to make. They could either use the Morgul Chosen to go after the back of my Cair Andros Swordsmasters and free up some more of their units, or they could just go straight back here to try to take out our archers and then go into this back line of pretty much the last line of Lango's infantry right there. As it is, I don't think I have very many units left at all, except for some like Pelagrin Marines who are right now getting murdered, some Cair Andros Swordmasters, and I think I still have my veterans of Osgiliath, as well as some scattered remnants of infantry. Ballista moving forward again. I think it should have been moving forward much earlier than this. Okay, so it looks like the Minas Morgul Chosen are in fact going to try to sandwich my Cair Andros Swordmasters, which is not a bad idea at all, because if they are able to take out my Swordmasters relatively quickly, then it will free up all of these units to then go after the archers as well. But again, just hard decisions, hard decision that was made there by the Mordor player. Temple Guard, though, going to try to go into these Athelian Rangers. Citadel Guard right here of Lengo are there as well. However, it looks like it's been kind of too late now, because you can see that my Fountain Guard, as well as Lengo's Axemen, have been able to pretty much completely take out the last of these Sauron's Will. These Sauron's Will are going to be no match for my 2 units of remaining Fountain Guard. So after I take them out, I will be free to move them elsewhere. Again, a large body count here as well. You can actually see that Lengo has got some shaken Axemen of Lothernok now going after the Ballista, surprisingly enough. So we'll see how well this goes. Also, something I should mention, that the Minas Morgul Chosen, being spearmen, they're not going to be able to kill my Cair Andros Swordmasters very quickly. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out. Ooh, a huge amount of friendly fire right there from the Wustalian Orc archers. The Orc Ballista is most definitely pretty inaccurate. We'll see this we'll watch this pretty quickly and see what happens. Ooh, because if the Axemen of Lothernok are taken out right there, that's going to be very bad, because elsewhere it's looking very grim for us. You can see my Cair Andros Swordmaster is actually thinking about routing. The Temple Guard still relatively healthy. And there goes my general, taken out by the trolls. My poor veterans of Osgiliath that were at like 100 men are just really struggling against these Olag Hai. Even though they're unsupported, the Olag Hai are an incredibly good unit. Also, my veterans are getting shot in the back. There's actually 2 units of veterans. Both my unit and Lengo's unit are here fighting hard against the Olag Hai. Over here, though, it looks like the fight is definitely turning over in favor of Lengo. There is still that 1 unit of Orc Maulers somewhere, but again, it probably won't be enough to break through that line. Temple Guard gonna try to get some volleys off onto some of the units. My Cair Andros Swordmaster's again shaken, so not looking too good for them right there. Oh yeah, the Axemen of Lothernok must have gotten shot by the Ballista, because I don't know any other reason why they would route like that, because there were still like 80 of them left. I mean, sure, the general was dead, but the Ballista must have gotten a very good hit off on them. My actually Gondor infantry may fare the same, but it looks like they actually are going to be able to get there in time to attempt to silence that Ballista crew. There's 61 Ballista men and 24 Gondor infantry, so we'll have to see how that fight turns out. 72 Cair Andros, yeah, they're shaken. They're shaken. But you can see that me and Lengo have completely taken out the last of the units right here, which is going to free up my 2 somewhat healthy units of Fountain Guard to move elsewhere. First, I think I do in fact send a unit. One Sauron's Well taking out a Fountain Guard there, but I do send 1 unit of Fountain Guard. No, I think both of them. Yeah, I think I send both units of Fountain Guard to attack the back of these Temple Guard here, who are in a hard fight against the Citadel Guard. There are also the Athelian Rangers of Lengo firing into the back of those Temple Guard, as well as into the back of those Minas Morgul Chosen, which is why they have fallen us so quickly. Also, my swordsmen are not bad in melee, obviously. Over here, the last of the Olag Hai instead decided to go after the infantry instead of my archers, who are now down to 33. Actually, some of the routing units that had come back, that had ran all the way back there, were actually able to kind of outflank these archers now, and you can see are now attacking the archers from the side. I think all of my rangers are dead, except I think I might have like a random unit of 13 Athelian Rangers somewhere around here that come back from routing. But again, over here, now completely surrounded by AP spears on both sides. The Temple Guard are starting to fall pretty quickly, now down to 18. And once we're able to take them out, then that means I will be able to march over here and take out the last of these Minas Morgul Chosen. However, my Cair Andros Swordmaster is still shaken, so it's going to be interesting to see if they rout or not. Over here, my 25 Gondor infantry doing a very nice job at taking out that Ballista crew, so that's going to pretty much be it for the Ballista. There goes another of the Mordor generals. I think there might only be 1 left at the most. And most of the Minas Morgul Chosen have been taken out, so yeah. may have been a better idea to send them over to the infantry fight, which you can see is now heavily turning in the favor of us. Us being the Gondor defenders. You can see that both Lengo and I are committing our veterans of Osgiliath in melee. There's no point for me keeping them back because they are out of ammo, and because my general's already fallen, there's no worries about him dying because he already has. The Shielded Found Guard have been alive the entire battle though, so that's pretty nice. There's still a good portion of Orc archers here, not firing because they're being attacked by the Gondor archers. And here's the completely healthy unit of Orc Maulers here, but again, I really don't think it's going to be enough. But we'll see. We'll see. The AP may serve them quite well. But yes, now that pretty much all the Temple Guard are being taken out by the Fountain Guard, it will allow me to send one of my units of Fountain Guard over to the bridge to help out my Cair Andros Swordmasters, who are actually wavering, shaken. They're just going back and forth between shaken and wavering, which is not good, because if they rout, then it may still be difficult for me to take out the last of these, because there's still a lot of units here. It would still be difficult for my Fountain Guard to take all of them out. So I am going to commit these 54 Fountain Guard, who will be quite effective at taking out these Minas Tirith chosen. Yes, and the Temple Guard are now all but gone. There's only 3 remaining. And over here, the Maulers have just recklessly thrown themselves against this stalwart defense of Gondor, knowing that there really is no more hopes. They're just going to try to fight to the last. You can see they're actually exhausted from all the running around that they've been doing pretty much the whole battle. Still some Orc archers firing. Ooh, they're wavering now though. I've got my own Gondor archers there as well. And over here, the last Temple Guard have been taken out, so now I'm also going to be able to commit my second unit of Fountain Guard over here, as well as my Athelian Rangers. And you can see Lengo looks like he's already committed his Citadel Guard over here. Yeah, he already has committed his Citadel Guard over here as well, which is going to mean the complete end of those Minas Tirith chosen. And my Gondor infantry have come back victorious from butchering all of that Ballista crew. Ballista crews are obviously not going to be very good in melee, even against 25 Gondor infantry. Ooh, Cair Andros Swordmasters though wavering. We may see a rout here right at the very end. A somewhat close battle, not super close, but pretty close. It's within 8% right now, so it's pretty close. We definitely took a lot of casualties, that's for sure. I don't have like anything left pretty much except for my Found Guard and like 30 or something veterans. And even my Found Guard have taken horrendous losses. Ooh. Firing point blank into Lengo's archers. Plate armor is not going to be a huge advantage when you're being fired at with the 98 arrows from point blank range. Ooh, yeah, it's not good. Actually going after some Cair Andros Swordmasters, interestingly enough. But yeah, now it's basically just going to be a matter of time before the last of the Mordor forces are taken out. So while it was kind of a historical battle, looks like it's not going to end historically. Because in the real battle, the Cair Andros garrison, just like the Osgiliath and Rams's Core garrison, was defeated. And that is kind of why Minas Tirith was in fact besieged. There is still a good portion of Morannon infantry here though. Cair Andros Swordmasters still going back and forth between wavering and shaken. But as soon as these Minas Morgul chosen are taken out, my troops will be able to kind of support my Cair Andros Swordsmasters, so they probably will not rout. But as it is pretty much just going to as that is pretty much going to be the end of this battle, I think I will go ahead and speed it up here. Again, this is a very, very excellent map. I really like playing on it. It was well played by all the players. It's a really interesting map. It's a really fun one to play on for sure. All the open spaces could definitely allow for cavalry. There goes the last general of Mordor. But yeah, it's a really nice map. It allows for some really cool tactics on both sides. I think the main mistake of the attackers was the fact that they did not bring enough Black Legion of Bardur. They would have had less numbers, but I mean, you saw how excellent the Black Legion were at pushing through that narrow choke point right here. But at that point, it was kind of just too late. They didn't have... Oh, there was still another general. I thought that was the other one was the last one. But at that point, when they pushed through here, they just really didn't have enough to deal with what we had remaining. But still, it was a pretty close battle. I enjoyed playing it. It was very fun. Especially because I had been trying for like 6 hours, I think. This day that I played this, I think I'd been trying like 6 hours to get a game, but for whatever reason, halfway through each battle I would always crash. Or somebody else did. Mostly it was me. It was something weird with my game, but I was able to get it fixed with the help of WK. So big thank you, Tam, for helping me with that. But yeah, I'm planning to do the I attempted to do a Siege of Grey Havens for the Dwarves versus Elves series, but again, like the other battles that I had attempted that day, besides this one, I didn't in fact crash. But I am happy to say that I did get that problem fixed with WK's help. Cair Andros Swordmaster going down there. But yeah, so this is pretty much going to be all that is left of Mordor, so I think I'll go ahead and speed it up. But again, a very fun battle. This is a cool map. It's a very, very excellent map. I really enjoy playing on it. I think definitely my favorite maps so far that I have played are definitely Cair Andros, the Grey Havens, and Karn Doom. The Grey Havens is very, very fun. It's got like 6 different gates. So for a 3 versus 5 like I want to do for the Dwarves versus Elves series, it's very, very interesting and fun. There's just constant action all the time. Last of the Morannon infantry going down now. Cair Andros Swordmasters were able to hold on for long enough despite being surrounded, but they have taken a lot of losses down to 34 now. I think I've even still got a few Rangers around here as well somewhere. You can see Lango's Rangers there. Our infantry almost about to rout. They are in fact wavering. Oh, and you can see the huge amount of bodies that my Assyrian Rangers produced from the archer fire, the body piercing. And yes, they have in fact routed. So that is going to be the end of this battle. It was a very fun one to play. Big thank you to all of the players involved. I really enjoyed it. You can see that Lengo deployed 2,700 men, got 4,400 kills. I deployed 2,500 and I got 6,300 kills. I think that's the that actually is the most kills I've ever had. I think the only time I ever got close to that was with the 3 versus 5 Siege of Dale. That was a horrendous loss for the defenders. If you have not seen the video, go ahead and check it out. It's a pretty interesting one. Murrow easily getting the most kills for his team. The Fat Flavamore not too far behind. And then Lionel getting 942 and Red Fox getting 511. So, yeah, a really fun battle. How many troops did they have? Like, that's like 7,000, 10,000. Ooh, they had like 13. They had like 13,000. Okay, I thought it was more like 10, but they had like around 12 or 13,000. Shield Found Guard of Lengo doing well. Veterans also doing quite well. His Cair Andros Swordmasters not doing incredibly well, but they did their job. Gondor Archers doing good, but not nearly as good as the body-piercing Athelian Rangers. His Gondor Infantry didn't do bad either. Axeman Vlossarnok, again, being a kind of low-tier unit, not going to do great. His Pikemen did very well. One of the Found Guard getting 735 kills. Very excellent there, and the Citadel Guard getting 115. The biggest number is definitely here for my Athelian Rangers getting almost 1,300 kills. But again, this is definitely the kind of situation that, like, it's like not even... This is the kind of situation that Athelian Rangers, or any Ranger, would obviously get a lot of kills in, because it was against a lot of low-tier stuff, and those low-tier units did not have any support whatsoever, and they were all in blobs. So both my Rangers, all 4 of the units of Athelian Rangers, two each from myself and Lengo, doing very well. My second unit getting around 900 kills. My Warden's White Tower I was very happy with, because it's not like, because this patch is not like the last one where you could basically just throw one elite unit against a whole army and get a bunch of kills. You have to be very careful with your elite units. So getting 563 kills was very cool for me to see. Found Guard doing very well. Gondor Archers doing their job. Swordmasters, the one you got 304, I think that was the one right here on this bridge. The 80 kills was the other one that got shot to death that I did bad with. Infantry did okay. Axemen did not bad. And my Citadel Guard did not do bad either. I think this one with the 421 kills was also the one on the bridge with the Wardens. The second one was the one that got kind of shot to death by the Temple Guard. But again, a very cool battle. Again, a big thank you to all the players involved. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be just about it for this video. So if you guys did enjoy it, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you did not, just go ahead and tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next video. So farewell wherever you fare, till your arrows receive you at your journey's end.